Kirby Smart is for sure 100,000% not responding to tweets from Big Game Boomer. And
Correct.
Shane Beamer is.
Correct. Welcome to My God Up Podcast. I'm Jim Wood. In this episode, John Powell and I preview Georgia's SEC opener against South Carolina. We talk through what we're looking for in the game, and we answer questions from you, our listeners. As always, remember to check out the newly redesigned MyGottaPodcast.com to see our latest merch. And you can follow us on social media at MyGottaPodcast. Finally, we'd love for you to check out our presenting sponsor, Oxia Time, at oxiatime.com. That's AXIATIME.com. Now, let's join the conversation in progress. John, do you have a bourbon this evening?
I do. I think I mentioned it on the last podcast that I needed to go and pick up some of my daily drinkers. Went and picked up some Early Times bottled and bond.
Nice. It's becoming a My God podcast staple. It's a good one. I always think of that as my first recommendation I took from a Bulldog Bourbon Social Club. That's where I first heard of that one from John. So
yeah.
I went with a themed bourbon this evening. I brought the same thing I had last year when we played these guys. Chicken Cock.
Oh yeah.
So
Bobby appreciates that.
The funny thing is, last year, like I said something really dumb. Like I was like, "Oh, there's like honeycombs on it or something." Like it's chicken wire.
Chicken wire.
Duh.
Duh. Idiot.
Man, yeah. You know, sometimes when you're editing the podcast and you're listening back, you laugh at yourself. that was one of those occasions. Oh man.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers. Hey, cheers to the SEC opener. You know, we've been talking about this, the way this season started off. I think a good thing for, you know, breaking in a new quarterback and everything, but I know we've both been ready for an opponent like this.
Yeah, it's time to see what this team's made of with the SEC schedule.
Yeah, for sure. What do you got going on this weekend?
Let's see. This weekend, I believe that we have a surprise birthday party for a buddy of ours coming up.
I hope he doesn't listen.
I don't think he does, actually. Now that I think about it, we have a birthday party coming up for a friend. But anyway, that's what we have scheduled. Nothing else substantial. I have been eyeing tickets, checking to see like the prices and stuff, but the secondary market is not kind on this game.
Yeah, I think we'll have to keep tracking, right? That was one of our questions preseason was like, what's going to be the most expensive ticket? I know you've been eyeing Kentucky as well, so we'll.
I have, yeah. It doesn't look like that's getting any better.
Yeah,
need Kentucky to start losing.
Yeah, so we'll see where that one lands, I guess, against this one.
Yeah, if you're selling, let me know.
Yeah. I'm not sure what all I think I'm going to the game, or I'm planning to go. I think I'll be solo as far as like immediate family. I think I'm just gonna head down to Athens. Either I'll probably head down, you know, Friday night, and be there. So heading over with family, with just me heading from Charlotte. So looking forward to it. Should be a fun one.
3:30, right?
3:30. Yeah.
Not on CBS.
No, it is on CBS. In the final season of the CBS contract. So, you know, actually, because isn't this the first SEC game on CBS this season?
I guess so.
Yeah, because last week they were still doing they did Big Ten last week. Yeah, because usually like CBS used to have the US Open for tennis. And so they wouldn't start SEC football until after the US Open was over, but they don't have that anymore. Okay. So yeah, I think they started filling that time with Big Ten games in advance of next year. So so this is usually when SEC games start on CBS, but I guess for different reasoning now. So yeah.
Okay, so we actually do get the CBS games because I saw the Ohio State game, Ohio State Indiana game, and I was like, oh, this is sad. I didn't realize that this was the actual last season.
Yeah, that's this. Yep. Yeah, so we do have CBS. This is the actual 3:30 CBS game. So
Well, that's good.
Some normalcy with that. And then
I mean, I guess we should cherish it because there's, depending on how the rest of the season goes, we may not get another CBS game. So everyone could be your last one.
Yeah. And I know we did get this kickoff had been announced ahead of time, but we did get the kickoff time for next week's matchup against UAB announced. So we go like forever with no night games. And now we have a home night game in 2 of the first 4 games of the season. So UAB is a 7:30 p.m. kickoff on ESPN2. So get geared up for that. Another one
Right.
under the lights, get to light up Sanford and all that stuff again. So
Love it. I'm a huge fan of the night games. So even if they are a little later than they normally would be.
yeah, I mean, it makes for a long day. I enjoy the lights. I enjoy light up Sanford. It always makes for a good time. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I much prefer like the fall night game against Auburn, for example. But I'm not going to complain.
Right.
Cool. All right. Well, I guess while we were hitting that, we can just go ahead and jump into the matchup. So we already said for this game for South Carolina, 3:30 kickoff, Dooley Field at Sanford Stadium on CBS, the CBS game of the week. Our records: Georgia coming in at 2-0, South Carolina coming in at 1-1. It is the SEC opener for both teams. Both teams are 0-0 in the SEC. The Dogs still number 1 in all the polls, and the Gamecocks are not ranked. The official hashtag that we will forget to use on Twitter is hashtag SC versus UGA. And then all time this series, Georgia leads the series 54-19 and 2. The last time we met, the Dogs won last year 48-7 in Columbia. And the weather, I don't know. We'll see. With it being 3:30, I'm assuming it's going to be hot, like it was for UT Martin. But a low of 57 for the day and a high of 84. I imagine it's going to be more around that 84 at kickoff. But cooler temperatures will take over when the sun goes down.
Yes. I mean, it's been pretty decent when the sun's not ruining things in the afternoons.
Gotcha.
I went outside this afternoon about 3:30 and it was brutal.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. I don't know. I feel like we keep having like the false fall moments, when you're like, oh, it's starting to feel good. And then, no.
You wake up and it's like, oh yeah, it feels so great outside. And you're like, oh.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So, okay. So with the, talking about these early opponents, we, SEC opener, right. And the all-time series, we've played many games against these guys, unlike our first 2 opponents. So I wanted to call back to something we talked about last week because we actually got an answer to something a question we posed. So when we were previewing Ball State, we were commenting about the fact that how crazy was it that, the first 2 games of the season were against opponents that Georgia had never played before in UT Martin and Ball State. And we said, I don't know, maybe Jason Hasty could find out the last time something like that had happened. And he did. So I think it was on Friday. We got an email from Jason. Thanks, Jason, for reaching out to us. It was pretty cool. He said that as far as he could tell, the last time that happened was actually 1910. And those 2 opponents that we were playing for the first time ever were Locust Grove Institute in the opener, who Georgia went on to beat 101-0, followed by Gordon College, who Georgia beat 79-0. So little fun fact for you, not to steal the fun facts, but a little fun fact for you there.
Which Gordon College is still around because that's the school that was down by. If you're from like Noonan, Peachtree City, Griffin area, that's where a lot of kids go to school down there to kind of gear up for college or to transfer to a bigger school kind of thing.
Gotcha. I actually was unaware of that. I mean, I'm aware of it now because you said that in your email. We were talking about it, but I did not know that until you said that.
Matter of fact, that was actually one of those schools that your kids did dual enrollment. Like that was Gordon was one of the ones that some of the kids in high school went to.
Gotcha. I guess a couple other things just on Georgia. So Georgia is on a 19 game winning streak now, and Georgia is on a 20 game winning streak at home. That is the longest home winning streak in the country. Bama had it. They lost to Texas. So now Georgia has the longest home winning streak in the country. John, do you know who the last team was to beat Georgia at home?
Wait, I thought who the last team was to beat Georgia at home?
Mm-hmm. In Athens.
Was it South Carolina?
It was. Ding, ding, ding. You win a prize.
I thought that there was another school that had a bigger active winning streak because I feel like I saw that in the notes. I don't have them up currently.
Active winning streak, yes, but I don't think home winning streak, at least not in FBS.
Oh, it wasn't home. It was regular season winning streak. That's what it was.
Yeah. But it's like a Division III school or something that has
that. I was like, what is this? I've never heard of this school before.
Yeah. I can't even remember who it was. I saw that. I didn't mention it because I didn't know who the school was.
You didn't know that, but that's like all the reason, right? Like,
okay, I found it. Okay, the NCAA's longest active this is regular season games. So that I guess that's the other thing is we've won 29 consecutive regular season games. Yeah. Actually, do you know who the last regular season loss for Georgia was? We can go with that.
Was it Ole Miss?
No, more recent.
More recent.
I'll say this. It's a game that we reviewed on this podcast.
I don't remember.
Florida, the 2020 cocktail party. That's the last regular season loss for Georgia. So, yeah.
Brutal.
But so the NCAA's longest active regular season win streak belongs to Mount Union. Mount Union is in Division III, and they have won 55 regular season games in a row.
Nice.
So, yeah. Okay, I've taken up too much time of the fun facts, John. Sorry.
Way too much time with. It's fine. It's our podcast. We can do whatever we want.
That's right. I don't know. Do you have Gamecock fun facts? I mean, we play them all the time. So if you don't, that's all good.
We do play them. So fun facts. Let's see. They're originally known as South Carolina College.
Okay.
So we're playing South Carolina College this week, dear listener. Originally chartered in 1801. They've been around for quite some time. Do you know? I mean, I guess this is debatable on who you think the most famous alumni is from South Carolina. But do you have any? Do you know any famous people that are from South Carolina?
I mean, I always go with Darius Rucker, but
Darius Rucker. I'll give you one better. All four of Hootie and the Blowfish.
All of Hootie and the Blowfish. Yes, fair. Yes, they are a South Carolina band. Yeah.
Yes. The drummer actually played for the soccer team, which is also kind of like a little interesting fun fact. The SEC does not support men's soccer. Mm-hmm. South Carolina has a men's soccer team, of which there are multiple Georgia players, which is again, like it just goes back to I can't believe that the state of Georgia doesn't have a men's soccer team, but I digress. Right. But their drummer played for the soccer team there, and they play soccer out of Conference USA.
Okay. Oh, interesting. I did not realize. I know one of the guys that founded Creature Comforts played soccer at South Carolina. I forget which guy, but one of them did.
Interesting. The only other noted person that I wanted to kind of call out here as a famous alumnus is a shout out to my wife. One of her favorite artists, Amos Lee, is a graduate of South Carolina, which I did not know, which makes me like his music a little bit less.
Okay. I think that's fair.
I actually did get to see him live at Symphony Hall, which was pretty amazing.
Nice.
Let's see. Where do I want to go with this? Mascot. We talked about mascots last week. Obviously, this is another chicken. It technically is a rooster. Gamecock is a fighting rooster. Mm-hmm. Kind of like Ball State. Like they had really like this this no man's land of mascottery. There was
Okay.
no official mascot for the University of South Carolina until 1971. I guess that the Gamecock has always been like a symbol of the University of South Carolina since like 1902, but yeah, he wasn't really like a thing until 1971.
Interesting.
Much like last week's Ball State, we do have some, kind of crazy, like old school, 1960s mascots and stuff, which they have kind of for the basketball games, they have a guy it's like the Big Spur,
Mm.
I guess as well. I'll send you some pictures of this. You can kind of take a look at it while we're talking. I'll text it to you. Let's see here. I mean, there's not.
Wasn't Sir Big I think wasn't Sir Big Spur the name of the actual that was the whole controversy last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago. I can't remember. But the live mascot, there was a whole controversy with the changing of the name and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah, there's I think that is his name, the actual rooster.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I've got as far as like the fun facts. The other thing that I'll point out, and this is kind of like, I was like, where, I listened to some of the other podcasts, right? So like, I feel like everybody's kind of picked up on the know your foe kind of stuff. So
Mm.
what can we do different here at My God a Podcast, Jim? I decided that I was gonna go and take a look. Cause you know how like whenever we're talking about South Carolina, we always have like that Palmetto logo. Have you
Hmm.
ever wondered like why the Palmetto logo was like such a big prominence? I mean,
So
you guys frequent Fripp Island. Maybe you have a little bit more of an insider.
I was gonna say I should know the answer to this, but I don't. Other than like it's the state tree or whatever.
Yeah, so it's been the state seal since the Revolutionary War period. There is some history there. Let's see, what was it? It was basically, I had it up, but now it's taken forever. I believe that it was there because of like a war that took place when they were defending from the British. Believe it was Sullivan's Island. There was, it's just like one of those things from the last stand of Sullivan's Island.
Okay.
As far as like the palmetto itself, it's kind of interesting. Like the palmetto it's a branchless palm with the long fan-like evergreen leaves, but it's not really a tree.
Mm.
Did you know that?
I did not know that. No.
It's not considered a true tree because the trunk is not solid wood. It's actually a very soft, like it's designed to, bend and flow with the winds, right? But yeah, it's not really a tree. So
Interesting.
yeah.
I feel like my dad's gonna say he disagrees because he has to clean up with all the stuff that they
Right.
they don't
But
leave,
yeah,
I guess, but those fronds do end up all over the driveway. I'll tell you that.
yeah. So the palmetto logs they were actually used for the fort at Sullivan's Island, which I
Got it.
guess is now called Fort Moultrie. That absorbed like cannonballs without shattering, so that's kind of like the palmetto thing. So it's a good thing that they were soft because otherwise they would have been shattered by the British cannonballs.
Mm.
So that was in the Battle of June 28th, 1776, which basically gave South Carolina a win. It's commemorated on the state seal and flag. The palmetto that we're talking about is known as the Sabal palmetto.
Nice. Yeah. Having me actually learn things
It's actually also the state tree of the state of Florida and is also on Florida state flag, which just gives us another reason to hate Florida.
I like how you work that in. Awesome.
That's all I
Awesome.
got.
That's good. That's good. I appreciate those. Those were good ones. Those were good ones. All right, I got a couple of news and notes. Two things on the injury front from Kirby's press conference. So with Javon Bullard, we talked about in the review that he was in a walking boot. He got asked about his status. Kirby said we won't know until Wednesday. I will say he did not give the hopeful kiss of death for Javon, so that's good. And then for
I mean,
Dejan,
Kirby knows that, right? Like it's like a thing now. Like
he's got to
it's
know.
something that he knows.
He
Yeah.
has to know. I mean, but he gave one last week, so I don't know. Yeah, I guess he's just doing it on purpose. I mean, he's messing. We've talked about how he talks through the media. That's one of his things. That's one of his things.
Yeah.
He did say for Dejon Edwards, he said we expect Dejon to go. So expect him to go. I didn't jot this down, but I know he talked about Ladd. You know, he didn't give Ladd the hopeful kiss of death either, but just said he doesn't know. Like he's day to day, basically, I think is what he said.
I feel like he's given up on that situation.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens there. The other thing that okay, so I had seen a tweet from Logan Booker about like the last time someone questioned Georgia's home fan and crowd environment, that it didn't go well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't even really sure what he's talking about. But then as I was reading through Kirby's press conference notes, he mentioned this about, so Tonka Hemingway was one of South Carolina's representatives at SEC Media Days. His name is Tonka Hemingway.
Never heard of her.
So I guess at SEC Media Days, he said something to the effect that, or he was asked about like the craziest environments he's played in, loudest stadiums he's played in, and he did not mention Georgia. So he only mentioned Texas A&M and Tennessee. So I guess that is being used as motivation. And it even came up in Kirby's press conference today, which I found interesting that it was something from SEC Media Days coming back. I thought that was a little weird, but
I mean,
hey, whatever
if we know anything about Kirby Smart, he's definitely going to take anything that other teams' players are talking about our atmosphere as rage fuel.
Yeah, for sure. So that was it. That's all I had from the press conference. So I guess for the game, John, we can start off where we usually do, what we're looking for when Georgia has the ball on offense. Just a couple of South Carolina defensive players of note to call out. Some of these also, I'm not going to lie, I'm including them because I like their names. They're fun names to say. I'll name team kind of things. They've got a Debo. So Debo, linebacker Debo Williams. He leads the team with 12 solo tackles. The total tackle leader is a defensive back, Jalen Kilgore. And then one of their defensive backs who has a tie for the team lead in interceptions is O'Donnell Fortune. So just a few guys to watch out for on their defense. But so as we progress,
how did their defense play against North Carolina?
Not very good. They did not look good in many facets of that game. It's weird. They were up 14-10 with 5 minutes to go in the first half. So in the second quarter, 5 minutes left, they were up 14-10, and then everything fell apart. So,
and then their coach got choke slammed.
Okay, which we did go back and look at that, right?
I can neither confirm nor deny that we looked at that.
Were we recording still? Too long. Were we recording, or had we hit stop at that point?
We probably had hit stop. I would think at that point we would have hit stop.
Hopefully we did. But in general,
to paint a picture for the listener, we're after recording it was the first episode, right? Yeah,
it was the first. It was the week 1 review. Yeah.
We were analyzing these pictures that were being. I was like, did Shane Beamer get choked at midfield? And you're looking at the pictures, and that they were not very kind to that situation. And it was like we were analyzing like a JFK like assassination, up and to the left, up and to the left. We were like slow motion. Okay, it wasn't that
bad. Right. Yeah. So apparently it wasn't exactly a chokehold, but it was like a kind of like, hey, come back. I've wanted to talk to you more, or something like awkward, grab your neck.
Yeah, it was total grandfather like situation. Like it was definitely grandfather trying to get your attention, little boy.
Yeah. So I don't know. I guess that's what happens with Mac Brown. Okay. So Dogs have the ball on offense. I mean, I think one of my big questions is, do we actually see Dejon? So do we see Dejon? And what does that mean for this offense? I feel like the run blocking was better in this last game than in week 1. And so I don't know. I'm still wondering if that's more like, I think it's probably a combination of things: motivation, obviously learning from mistakes, but then also like probably scheme getting more intricate as the level of competition goes up. So does it go up more here? Like what are the dogs trying to do on offense? And then I'm going to be watching for Brock Bowers. Like Brock Bowers had a huge game against them last year. Only one catch last week. Do we get a heavy dose of Brock this week?
Yeah, I mean, I told you he's going to have to start putting up stats in order to, stay on those awards boards. You have to figure they've got to work him in. Like I imagine that Kirby Smart's looking at that stat line from his best offensive weapon and is probably shaking his head a little bit.
Yeah.
At the same time, I also don't know that he really cares.
Yeah. Yep.
if we're putting up, you and I were talking about this before we started recording. Like, if I were to tell you that in 2022 we were averaging 41 points per game, and so far in 2023 we're averaging almost 47 points a game.
Yeah.
Would that surprise anybody? And
I mean,
based on the reactions that everybody's talking about, I imagine that probably would surprise people.
Right.
We're about to get into the meat of the schedule here. That's one of the things that Bobo, you and I have defended Bobo. I definitely was a long time ago. I was in that vein of I has a crayon. That's what he was known for back then, but he also didn't have the arsenal that he has today. And we talked about that, like, hey, like on paper, like this guy has been one of the most prolific scorers in UGA history. And now he's actually got an offensive line. Oh, and by the way, he also has like one of the best defenses in the country.
Yeah.
We have an NFL factory on the defense. So like the fact that we're churning out points at a higher clip so far, I would say if that trend continues upward, I don't know that it's going to satisfy anybody.
Yeah. No, agreed. Yeah. And I guess, will we see if Dejan plays, what does that mean with Dylan Bell? Does he go back to, primarily playing receiver? Kirby did mention that a little bit in the press conference. He just said that like at this point, like it's part of the package and he can go back and forth. And did talk about his speed and how explosive he is. So there's that to watch for. And then obviously we got to watch out for the official wide receiver of my God podcast in Mekhi Muse. Yes. Beck has been looking his way quite a lot, and I don't see where that would stop here.
Yeah. I'm not really sure. I don't know. I personally, like, we're talking about like the running game. Like I hope that Daijun Edwards, I hope that they go easy with that, because I would rather, if he's been that banged up to miss the games thus far, like if we don't need him, like I'd say let's let him rest another week, and then rather than saying that he's a go, just not even include him on any sort of injury notes.
Right. We'll see. I think. What did you say? You'll believe it when you see it with Daijun?
Yeah, I color me a little skeptical on this one. But that said, like, you got Kendall Milton banged up. I don't know. I'm trying to kind of like let the chips fall with the running game.
Yeah.
For right now, because Kendall Milton's been hurt. It seems like we can't buy any yak. So like, I don't know. I'm hoping that the running game woes, if you will, are just chalked up to guys just are banged up. And I would imagine if I'm Kirby Smart and I'm looking at the film and I'm seeing Dylan Bell making the moves that he was making out in space, like, good gosh, like, give the kid the ball, like,
yeah, give
him a shot. I mean, the other thing that I found strange, and I didn't mention this on the recap last episode, but like I did see Andrew Paul. He had some returns, but I haven't seen him feature very much in the running game. Like, what WTF? Like, why?
I mean, I think it's, again, just working back from injury, right? I mean, he tore his ACL fall camp last year. So,
but if you're working, I don't know. I guess is the return, is it safer to return? Put him in return?
Yeah, I mean, he's gotten out there, but yeah, he didn't get. I think he got more carries in the first game than last week, right? From what I remember, yeah, he didn't get much. Although his kickoff return, wasn't it like they kicked a short one or something? He was like the up guy and caught it, or something funky happened. But okay. I know but he has been mentioned with kickoff return anyways. So, right. But yeah, no, I don't know, man. I want to see. Let's see the offensive line progress and see if we can run the ball. Got to give these guys some lanes. I will say on the yards after contact though, Roderick Robinson actually is averaging, I want to say it's like 4 yards after contact or something like that. So he's actually doing pretty well there, at least.
Yeah, Roderick Robinson has been great, but he hasn't had he didn't get the lion's share of the carries in the first game.
Yeah.
Maybe he's working his way up to running back 1 at this point, but on the whole, we've been a little underwhelmed with the running back situation.
Yeah. Yep. I guess the other thing I'll be watching for is better receiver blocking on the perimeter for that lateral stuff. We struggled with that a little bit early in the game last week. Hopefully, we can see that through this week.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have anything else in the offense?
Some continued steadiness of Carshawn Beck. He's looked pretty good, man. I mean, he has. He aired out his longest pass of his career in the last game.
Yeah.
He had a 54-yard touchdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's completing over 70% of his passes. He's got 1 interception, which I think we can kind of chalk that up to situational miscalculation, but it wasn't indicative of any decision-making problems that I feel like he has, like kind of like what you saw with Alabama's quarterback, for example. But I would love to see him kind of continue. Like I think I joked with you guys about this, but like had Carson played like the entirety of the last couple of games, like he could have potentially put up some of these numbers that would have gotten him on Sports Center and taken away some of the airtime of some of these other guys. Do I think he could have gotten 500 yards? Maybe not like Shedeur Sanders, but I think that he easily could have put up 400 yards if we had kept him in the entire game, the last 2 games.
Yep. Yeah. And that's just not Kirby is not going to do that. And we've seen that in the past, but totally agree. It's on the table there.
Unless you're a wide receiver, a tight end, or like a running back type person, you're probably not going to get the opportunity to win the Heisman at the quarterback position at the University of Georgia, putting up numbers that would be required to win such an award. Unless Kirby just decided one year that we're going to do it.
Right. Which could happen. Which could happen. Yeah.
It's kind of like the black jerseys. It could happen.
I don't think so, but yes, maybe. You're telling me there's a chance.
There's a chance.
All right. Well, why don't we take a brief moment to pause to remind everyone that season 4 of My God, a Podcast is presented by Oxia Time. So Oxia Time is a custom watch company. They make Swiss watches. They are automatic watches. You've got to go check out their 2021 and 2022 Georgia National Championship watch collection. And I know, John, we've worn them around town, around the tailgates. And they're always a big talking point when we're out and about with them.
Yeah, I was actually at the Harrison High School game, homecoming game, because it was homecoming this past weekend. I actually took in the game and sat with a buddy of mine who's also a Georgia fan. He was decked out in his Georgia gear, and he saw me check in the time, and he kind of remarks, he's like, "Oh, that's a nice watch." He's like, "Yeah, it's the national championship watch." He goes, "Where'd you get it?" I want to get one. So I had a chance to talk to my buddy about Oxia Time. He was very complimentary of it. It's a great watch. It's definitely a crowd pleaser, particularly amongst the brethren, if you will.
Yeah, for sure. So I imagine, John, when he asked you that, you said, "Hey, you can head over to oxiatime.com."
I did.
So if you want to go over there, check them out. That's AXIATIME.com. And you can use the code MyGottaPodcast to get a custom display box for your timepiece as well.
Yes. And you also, with the timepiece, you also get the, what was the strap called? What was the formal name for it?
Yes, the NATO strap.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes. Yeah. You'll get multiple watch bands. Get a NATO strap, and you can get them engraved on the back. So that's included in the price. You can put a personal message in the back. So it's a great thing to have. I know John and I both have really enjoyed having ours. All right. Let's see, John. let's talk about what to look for when South Carolina has the ball. So for the Georgia defense. So obviously the big talking point for these guys is Spencer Rattler, the former Heisman candidate at Oklahoma, we thought, transferred to South Carolina. So on the season through 2 games, he is 55 of 66. So he's got an 83% completion percentage for 698 yards, 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. But something that jumped out to me, especially after the conversation we had in the Ball State review, John, is that Spencer Rattler has been sacked 9 times thus far through 2 games. So definitely something to watch for. Their leading receiver is Xavier Legette. I think it's Legette. That's what the announcers seem to be saying. 15 catches, 296 yards, and a touchdown. And then Dakereon Joyner is their leading rusher. 23 carries, 65 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he also does catch some passes out of the backfield. He's got 9 receptions for 66 yards. So
I don't know. I think that the big thing there was the sack numbers, right?
Yeah. That really jumped out at me, and I did not watch that.
He was sacked. Not all 9 of those sacks actually came in the North Carolina game.
I mean, they pretty much manhandled them. I mean, if you go watch just the highlight package of that game, I mean, he is constantly under duress. It's pretty crazy to watch. And, you know, like I was saying, I mean, they were up in that game 14-10, you know, late in the second quarter, ended up losing to North Carolina 31-17. So, you only got a field goal after that point. And it really was that just from the harassment of Spencer Rattler, really, throughout that game. So I know we've been waiting for the sacks to start coming. Maybe we see them come here in this game, but you know, when we've seen him before. I mean, he is talented. I mean, he's got major arm talent. I remember like the first drive last year, there was a pass that he threw that it kind of jumps off the screen. And you're like, whoa, you know, it's impressive. So I'm expecting, like, don't be shocked if he gets some yards. But this is one of those games where I feel like we're going to have the right plan, and we're going to see what exactly the plan is. Sometimes we're willing to give up those empty yards and just not give up the points. So
something, you know, we're talking about trying to go tangential with some of the stats here. So North Carolina currently in 2023, granted we're 2 games in. One of those games was against South Carolina. He does have some pretty eye-popping completion numbers. I mean, he's completing a significant amount of his passes, almost 80% in both of the games that he's played thus far. He played against Furman in the last game, right?
Yeah.
But you look at the black eye, which is North Carolina, and you look at, okay, well, so North Carolina had 9 sacks, right? They beat up a quarterback that was kind of a Heisman contender level. Okay, so they must have a really good defense, right? Like, in your head, that's probably what you're thinking. Well, North Carolina's defense is currently ranked 109th in the country.
Okay.
Total defense. That's just like kind of an indicator as to, like, you know, it's kind of like a power ranking in my head. Like, how many yards are you holding people to, yards per game?
Okay.
Georgia is currently ranked 17th. I'd like to think that we can perform a little bit better than North Carolina in this game. I also think that there's the element of we'll get to this. We'll get to the listener questions on that one. I'll save that one for later. But I like to think that we're motivated to win big in this game.
Yeah. That was a nice teaser there, John. Yeah. No,
we'll get there, guys.
I agree. I don't know. I guess if you think about when you've got a guy who's as talented and has the arm talent as Rattler, you know, what makes them off their game, and it's pressure, right? So can we get that pressure? And then we talked about Malachi Starks being the eraser. I just have so much confidence in our secondary, you know, to be able to cover. So I don't know. I like In Kirby we trust, and in defense we trust. So looking forward to it. Looking forward to see them get after an SEC offense and get after a quarterback of Rattler's caliber. So
exactly, and from a Georgia secondary, we've talked about that. Like I have had zero worries about the secondary. I mean, so if you figure that maybe defensive coordinators will start picking up the hint that they should not throw to Malachi and anywhere near Malachi Starks.
Yeah.
That shuts off an entire segment of the field. Where do you go with the ball? I would watch for them to be attacking us over the middle. That's definitely something that I feel like that we at the Dog Central team have kind of noticed. That we are susceptible over the middle, and I assure you that Kirby Smart and co are definitely going to be watching out for that. But it'll take time to fix completely. Do I think that they can fix it within 1 week? Probably not. We're still rotating guys out. We're still trying to figure out who the starters are, who's going to be the team leaders, those kinds of things. Guys have been injured, so I don't expect that to be an answer right now. Do I think it'll be an answer by the SEC championship? Yes.
Got it. Fair enough. I don't know. Anything else on their offense or defense?
Not much. Like I said, we're probably all going to get frustrated by them, feasting over the middle, but I still think that we're going to overwhelm them.
Okay. Let's see. Special teams notes. Looking at their.
Do they have a South African punter that can kick it 100 yards?
So, yeah. I mean, where is that? Where the Ball State punter? Because the Ball State punter was also the first one, but the Ball. I think the Ball State guy was Australian though.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
No. So the South Carolina punter is Kai Kroger. So he's from Illinois. So kind of boring compared to the last two guys.
Boring.
Yeah. But he's averaging, I think it's like 42 yards a punt, something like that. So nothing too crazy. And then place kicker, Mitch Jeter is their place kicker. He's perfect on extra points, but 1 of 2 on field goals. So those are the things I noted from their special teams. Obviously, we'll be watching for Mekhi Muse on our.
I was just about to say, do you think that they're going to kick it to him, or are they going to start? Is Mekhi going to start getting Ronald Acuna?
Yeah, I mean, not a bad idea. I mean, the guy is electric when he gets the ball in his hands on kick returns. It's fun to have a guy that dangerous. I don't know. I love the way he goes about it. Right. I mean, we didn't even talk about Isaiah McKenzie was tweeting about him after the game. Was like, is this guy coming for my record? So the joystick approves. So
I hope that he does. I hope he does come for your record.
Yeah.
I love everything about this kid. He's got the locker room, and that's been pretty evident all throughout. You watch what happens on the sidelines. This team just has a good vibe, man. I don't know. Like they have a really good vibe coming into the season from such tragedy. After the national championship. So Kirby's done a really good job at rebuilding that team camaraderie and that team culture. And I also think that there's a certain amount of pride that this team takes when they have one of their own rise to the occasion and do exactly what Kirby and them talk about, which is, hey, you can come in here and compete and win a job, and it doesn't matter if you're a 5-star recruit. We're going to put who plays the best out here, and we're literally seeing that live and in color.
Yep. No, totally agree, and I think it continues to speak to not only player development but also player evaluation that this staff does. You look at guys like Mekhi Muse, you look at Ladd McConkey, just to name a couple. I mean, even like Javon Bullard wasn't like a super highly, crazy number of star recruit. So it continues to be impressive there as well.
Yep.
All right. Well, let's hit the listener questions, John. So again, reminder, this season, our listener questions are brought to you by our Working Web Media. So we have a newly redesigned website over at mygodapodcast.com. The folks over at Working Web Media help us put that together. much better look and feel than our old site, and also now a new and improved My Gotta Podcast store. So if you're watching us on YouTube, the hat that John is wearing is available in our store now. We've got all your favorites. We got the trucker hat that we've always had. I don't know. Do we need to put the hat that I have on? I've got on a prototype right now. This Better Never Rest hat. I don't know. That might be out there soon as well. So be sure to go check that out at mygottapodcast.com. And if you need help with your online presence, be sure to reach out to Working Web Media. You can head over to workingwebmedia.com/dogs. That's DAWGS, and they will know that we sent you their way. All right. Let's kick off the listener questions with our buddy Chris, British Bulldog. Which dog would you most like to go for a pint with, John?
Are we talking about players? I was going to ask for a clarifying statement.
Oh, I assumed.
Yes.
The replies went off the rails a little bit here, and I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. I need British Bulldog to explain a little bit. Just up on our WhatsApp.
I think it was like some Simon Pegg movie references, but
it was definitely Simon Pegg movie references. I feel like these were British. These were like British establishments that were being mentioned to go to, which I'm like super FOMO and like. Because that's like that's like a bucket list item is to head over to the UK and travel around just enjoy beers at random watering holes, pubs.
Yeah.
All right. So which dog would you most like to go for a pint? Oh, you go first.
Well, I mean, like, is it cheating to say Mackay Muse? Because obviously we want to have a pint with the unofficial receiver.
I mean, I would say based on the interviews that he's been given, like that's a solid answer.
I think it is. I think it's a really good. I mean, the guy's nickname is Waffle House, John. Come on. So I don't know. I guess maybe that's my vote. You go.
Does Kirby Smart count?
Oh my gosh. Well, we know how that went for me.
Yeah.
I had my chance. Sorry.
I would love to sit down with Kirby Smart. I would say Muse has got to be up there for sure. Nazir Stackhouse is definitely someone that I've always just kind of like enjoyed listening to his videos because I really appreciate the insider take on what it's like to be a student athlete that he posts on TikTok.
Yeah. I didn't say him because I had a feeling you were going to say him. I wanted to leave that for you.
I would say Thorson seems like a pretty cool dude too.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Thorson has a really good sense of humor. It seems like, just based on his self-deprecating tweets when Stetson was around.
Yeah.
Yes. He also has a unique story too that I would just love to like just sit down and listen. Plus, I like the Australian accent.
And he's like old too. Like he's like almost Stetson's age.
Right. That's why we're so good. We have all these 35-year-olds running around.
Exactly. Awesome. All right. Well, we'll have to go to the text thread to get this story on the banter within the replies.
Yes. Agreed.
All right, let's see. Bobby Wilson would like to hear you two break down the offensive line. Strengths, current weaknesses. Will they be a key in our season's success or prevent our three-peat goal? Thanks, guys. I like how Bobby like fancies us as like analysts sometimes. I
appreciate it, but
I do too.
I'm gonna have to default to Big George on the offensive line breakdowns.
Right.
and Graham, head over to 100 Sanford for the offensive line breakdowns. We'll give them a heads up that you're coming.
My novice answer that I'm kind of stealing from those guys is, also just from watching. I mean, pass blocking, really good, right? I mean, Carson Beck is staying clean, not a lot of pressure, so don't have any concerns there. I think on the run blocking, again, would defer to those guys. I know like last year, Graham, and they talked with George about this around like zone scheme versus gap scheme, being more successful in gap scheme versus zone. And I know like from Graham's 12 takeaways, I think he was saying that they're actually doing pretty well in zone this year. But especially in the first game, like something seemed off. There was no running room against a much lesser opponent. I don't know. Some of that I do still kind of chalk up to motivation. So I think there is strength. I think we need to see them fully gel, and to see them come into their own. Like, are we playing the right five guys? Are the five guys that we're playing in the right position? Could we swap guys around a little bit? We've got some like all-star stalwarts that have been there for years, and we're mixing in some new guys. So I don't know. That's my novice response to that.
What I'm going to say is going to do zero to assuage the Mike Bobo clan that I'll call. I feel like that our runs up the gut, up the middle. I don't know what gaps those are, and I'm not that savvy on it, but when we're running it up the middle, I feel like is when we're weakest. When we attack the edge is where we excel. Mm-hmm. You saw that a lot last year with, we've talked on this podcast about how to replace Kenny McIntosh, mm-hmm. Because Kenny McIntosh just brutalized the edge, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that we've done a much better job running the ball outside the tackles than we have inside the tackles. Mm-hmm. So how do you maximize the offensive line play to do just that? Well, number one, stop calling runs up the gut on second and third and long. That's definitely part of why people are frustrated with the offense, I feel like. Mm-hmm. The other thing that you could do is start moving the line. You start pulling the guard, you start moving the line down, you start moving the line left and right laterally, right? And allow the play to develop and allow the running backs to find the lanes that way. I haven't really seen too much of that side of things. But like I said, it seems like when we are stationary trying to go north and south, hell or high water kind of situation, particularly when, like we talked about last week, when we get down inside the red zone and on the goal line, start move the line around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that I feel like that if we are doing better at attacking the edges, let's start playing more of those play calls. And also let's start trying to move to those spots, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I just want to take a moment to acknowledge the fact that we just talked through. This is a lot like a growth moment where we answered an offensive line question, and you did mention Stacey Searles.
I didn't mention Stacey Searles. I actually don't know that Stacey Searles is the problem to this point, because I've seen positive momentum. So that's kind of what you expect, right? Like we have guys that are banged up, we have rotation, and it seems like that they're arriving at their destination.
Yep. Let's see.
I still have them on speed dial though.
Oh, good. Of course you do. Let's see. Brett Building. Which South Carolina will we see on Saturday? The one that smoked Tennessee and Knoxville last season, or the one who got worked by UNC? I'm thinking it might be somewhere in the middle, but leading more. That Tennessee game, like that was late in the season. This is a different team.
I'll say that I'll reserve my opinion for, which defensive team decides that they want to throw out there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling we're going to stay as vanilla as possible on both offense and defense. Again, I'm all in on Graham's theory of the Kirby long con, the manufactured adversity, all the things. I do believe that this team is playing close to the vest, because part of the reason I feel like that they're playing close to the vest is because, number one, they can with the schedule that they have thus far. Number two, their schedule dictates it. So if you don't have to play your ace card or your draw four, if you're playing Uno or whatever it is, like you save that till the very end when your competition closest to you is about to win the game, and then you start throwing things out there. Does that make sense? I mean, we saw that last year. We started throwing things against Michigan. We're throwing the kitchen sink at Ohio State, right? And I feel like even on TCU, we had them on skates. So like, I have a feeling that I'm all in on the long con. So it just depends on how much they want to flex. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I agree. That makes sense. I think that kind of plays into the next question. So I don't know if you had anything to add to that, but from Scarlet Dog, what differences, if any, in the game prep for South Carolina versus the first two games, and more precisely what the game prep should look like for the SEC opener. I mean, I think again, just it's the line of competition, the level of competition stepping up. And I think, I'm sure Kirby would say they're preparing for the opponent, period, all these kinds of things. But the thing I always like to remember is we're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds outside of Brett Thorson. And it's so much of this comes down to their state of mind, their mindset, and motivation. It's a lot easier to motivate these guys to get ready for an SEC opponent as opposed to, no offense, but the guys who played the last 2 weeks. So I think some of it is mindset and mentality. And as we saw in 2019, that's important. You got to take these guys seriously. So I think it's more of a mindset thing.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that this team begins and ends with Spencer Rattler.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the stats here. Like, their leading rusher has 65 yards.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah.
And he's averaging 2.8 yards per carry. So here's what that tells me. They don't really have a running game that they've been able to showcase.
Yep.
That does not bode well when their team's strength is leading into the buzzsaw that is this team's strength.
Yeah.
We're probably going to make Spencer Rattler beat us. I would imagine. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know how else to characterize it, but as far as the preparation goes,
I mean, you do. This is the first game, right? That you have a guy to game plan that you think you want to game plan around, right? Like we're going to game plan around. We know what Spencer Rattler can do, and we're going to be looking at that. So that's probably actually the difference there,
right? So I guess the question is, do you think that we're going to come out and try to pressure with,
I think we will. I don't know that we're going to do anything like
7
exotic.
guys in the box, like
right?
Yeah, in the box.
Yeah, I don't know that we're going to do anything like. Again, I don't know that we're going to have like a exotic blitzing or anything going like that, but I feel like there will be more of an emphasis on getting to the quarterback this week. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, it's going to be a coming out party for some of those guys that have been waiting. Waiting. Although we could get into a situation where we have guys that are told to go after the quarterback and they over pursue, and if we're not good at setting the edge, that could open us up for him to break outside.
Yeah,
I don't know. He's not much of a runner threat, is he?
He has
16 carries for negative 14 yards, which I guess that comes with the territory of
his long
9 sacks.
His long is a 15-yard rush, but the most of those carries are sacks. So
right.
All right, let's see. All School is next up. This is just like a college football question about the season. Do you think maybe this is one of those years where there are a bunch of solid teams, maybe no elite teams? Is Texas that good? Or are we assuming they are because they beat Alabama, who might be somewhat overrated? We have some things to work out in time to do it. I've heard a lot of people talk about this, kind of saying like, is this like that? It was like 2007. There was like the crazy super chaos year of college football where like every week the number 2 team lost for like 1 and 2 were dropping like flies all year long. And so there's a huge shuffling at the top. I've heard it get compared there. I don't know. I think it's this season is very young, and I need to see a little bit more around the country to see there. But I do think like the transfer portal has changed the game a lot, and you're seeing teams like Colorado with all these transfers. Heck, Georgia Tech, like they're all transfers. Florida State has a bunch of transfers, including, by the way, like Jaheim Bell, who was probably South Carolina's best player other than Spencer Rattler. He's gone. He's at Florida State. So that's changed the game a lot. And I think that is part of this. You've got these guys that are older, but in their first year with the school. So I don't know. I'm going to take a little bit and see how it plays out. Could be. But to the point, like, I mean, this team has a lot of potential and can be very good. The defense continues to do what it has been doing for years. And, let's see where Carson Beck can get to in this offense.
Yeah, I would say that right now it's hard to gauge. Again, we just are 2 games into the season. I think that it's I think that it's too early to really tell. Let's let some of these teams get through their grind. Like I've talked about Colorado getting to Oregon, getting to USC. I mean, I actually think looking at some of the defensive stats that I just happened to notice that Colorado State was actually got like a pretty decent defense. So I don't know. There's things like that have yet to play out for some of these teams. To answer the question, is Texas that good? I don't know, man. I think that both of those teams are pretty darn good. I will say that it took a meltdown of epic proportions for Alabama to lose that game. Like Milroe had to basically play probably his worst game ever. It took them having to turn the ball over. They couldn't move the ball. And they were still in it late.
Yeah.
So like that speaks to how off Bama we kind of expected would be. Because their quarterback situation, and then like Texas, like I mean, they had every advantage in that game and still kind of barely won, really. If you look at the little graphs that I can't remember which Twitter profile produces it, but like, was my team really that bad? Were we really that good? And you see the disparity between the two, and like Alabama and Texas were like right on top of each other on that little scale, and it was like basically it was all but a toss up. I don't even know what the ESPN win probability was in that game, but yeah, I think that it's largely let's like wait and see, because a lot of these solid teams have been playing subpar competition.
Right. Yeah, makes sense. Let's see, John. Oh wait, no. Trying to skip ahead. 51-7 GATA. What's your favorite Georgia win over South Carolina? John, this is one of your top foes that you hate. Do you have a single game that's your favorite?
No, just all of them. I think the Pollock win probably stands out the most if you were to force me to pick one.
Yeah.
But yeah, this game typically is around my birthday. We lost to South Carolina when Carly was born, which was not a good day. So yeah, I mean, I want to beat South Carolina, and historically, again, history is kind of out the window at this point with Kirby Smart in charge. But historically, the winner of this game was in the driver's seat for the SEC East. So kind of was a directional barometer for how the season was going to go.
Yeah, I think it's 2002 for me as well. I went to that game with my dad. We had a good time, and seeing the Pollock play in person was pretty amazing. I guess some other of like honorable mention, since we both said the same one, would be making Spurrier quit. That's
a good one.
So that was a good one. Of the 2015 Grayson Lambert game. So that's a good one. 2013, the pass from Aaron Murray to the fastest man with three first names, Justin Scott Wesley. That one always sticks out to me as well. So those are some honorable mentions for me.
Nice.
All right, where I started to go, I got ahead of myself. John Michael D. Who gets the first of many, and who leads the team in sacks in the day? Who you got, John? Who's gonna get the first sack?
The first sack?
Yeah, in this game.
I don't know. I guess I'd like to say Jalen Walker, but
okay, you can go Jalen Walker. I mean, he's high on my list.
It really is kind of a toss-up, really.
Yeah,
it could be Tyke Smith.
Could be, yeah, it could be on a blitz. I'm gonna go Michael Williams.
Michael Williams is a good one, yeah.
And then over under number of giftable Kirby moments, like yelling across the field. Over under 1.5.
I hope it's the under.
Because that means things are going well. He's not angry.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it. Okay, I've grouped the next few questions. So we had multiple people ask about Shane Beamer. So Hobnail Boot, Crew Jones. Was Crew Jones? I mean, send me an angel. Is this the guy? You know, is this kid gonna win Hell Track? I don't know. We're gonna have to find out, and we're gonna see who gets that reference.
I was about to say, I definitely do not get that.
Dude, Rad Crew Jones was the main character of Rad.
Oh, okay, got it.
let's see. Okay, so I'm going to read Bubby's version. So Bubby Dean said last year's 41-point margin of victory is the largest in the 75 game history between these teams. Kirby seems to have a special disdain for Beamer. Any backstory there? I was going to say, we actually got some backstory stuff in the replies that I hadn't.
Right.
I don't remember these ones specifically. I don't know. Did you remember these?
I didn't.
Okay. I mean, they're on
What's
Twitter.
the synopsis?
So I'll read them out. Yeah. So Jen Dog said that one of them, she heard that she read somewhere that Kirby had made a comment about Beamer running his mouth too much, but that no other details were given. I don't recall reading that, but and then the other one was I had not heard this one, that Beamer last year was trying to make sure that there was no air conditioning in the visitor locker room, or that it wasn't working well, and that Muschamp got tipped off about it as the former South Carolina coach, and Kirby had portable air conditioning delivered to Columbia prior to the game last year. So I hadn't heard either of those stories. So I don't claim to be an insider, but you don't see Kirby reacting like that all the time. Other than like he hates Florida, he hates Tennessee, right? But I don't know that he has such hatred for South Carolina from his playing days. So it does seem like something's going on there.
He does have hatred for Shane Beamer, I feel like.
Yeah.
I feel like that he looks at Shane like, I guess I put myself in his shoes. So, he's the son of a former coach, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Shane's the son of a former coach.
Yeah.
And he got a head coaching job without being a coordinator, right?
Right.
So Shane, in many respects, escalated his career on his daddy's name kind of thing. And I feel like that Kirby Smart kind of takes that personally because he was the son of a coach and kind of earned his dues all throughout.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have to go back and look like how old is Shane Beamer versus how old Kirby Smart was at the same time in his coaching career kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I feel like that Kirby was just like slogging, like I said, earning his stripes.
Mm-hmm.
And Shane just kind of arrived, you know what I mean? And I feel like that those kind of guys get under Kirby Smart's skin. He likes the guys that kind of grind out, like we've talked about, the Mackay Muse of the people. He puts these kids through hell, and the ones that the cream rises to the top. And I feel like that he probably thought that Shane wasn't one of those guys on his coaching staff, which is probably why he didn't fight too hard to keep him around.
That was my initial thing of like, you look at the guys who have left, and there are guys who left this staff for an upgrade, like a promotion. And when Beamer left, it didn't so much feel like that. When he went over to Oklahoma, it felt pretty lateral. And when things like that have happened, it seems to felt like at best a mutual agreement to part ways. So I always kind of felt like that there, he was on Kirby's original staff and wasn't here very long. So probably there was something there. I was starting to not think that when Seth Emerson's book came out. Shane Beamer actually was someone who Seth interviewed extensively, which I don't know, maybe Kirby doesn't like that either. Like one of the main people that was interviewed in that Seth Emerson book about Kirby Smart was Shane Beamer. Maybe he didn't like that, but so like when I was thinking back to that, I was like, oh, well, they seem to get along. But then last year when Kirby did the, not FTMF, but FDMF, when we got a turnover on downs last year and did that first down signal, there's something going on. So
yeah, there's definitely something going on there. I don't know. I look at, is Shane Beamer the next Dan Mullen? As far as goofball material?
I was going to say, like, just in general, too, like all the goofy stuff that he does with the videos and the sunglasses and all that is very not, that's very not Kirby. So,
yeah, his style is just not Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart is, I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like, I feel like if I were to characterize it, like, I don't know, Kirby Smart is like the Masters and Shane Beamer is like your local country club.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, look, it's like Kirby keeps the main thing.
Right.
And Shane Beamer keeps like random things the main thing. Like, like he's more, I'm going to make this video and it's going to be goofy and it's going to go viral. Like I can't see Kirby doing that kind of stuff, So, yeah.
Kirby Smart is for sure 100,000% not responding to tweets from Big Game Boomer. And
Correct.
Shane Beamer is.
Correct.
Like, what are you doing, dude? This is we haven't talked about this, but it's kind of like Mel Tucker. Like, what are you doing, dude?
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole, but I can't believe I was shocked by that. So okay.
I'm waiting for the details to emerge, but it does not look good.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. Does not look good.
Much like Shane Beamer tweeting at Big Game Boomer.
Like, what are you doing? I don't even tweet at Big Game Boomer. Come on, Shane.
I have full transparency. I have Big Game Boomer blocked, and I am better for it. Like muted, blocked, like everything. I just like erase Big Game Boomer from my timeline.
It's like, tell me that you're from Georgia and couldn't get into Georgia without telling me. Is the way he behaves on Twitter. Okay, let's move on. Let's see. Fletcher Proctor. Is it wrong that I enjoy Kirby's pettiness when it comes to Shane Beamer? No, Fletcher, it is not wrong. Also, while I do completely support Beck as QB1, it's really fun watching Gunner out there. BVG is cool, but Gunner makes me think of the Chuck Norris memes. I hope he gets a fair shot next year with DR, that being Dylan Raiola. I will say, I feel like week one, I could see some like, oh, hey, look at these backups. I feel like Beck really solidified it this past week for me personally. So I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, I like Vandegrift. I like Stockton. They're both Georgia guys. And I hope they, wish them the best and hope them a lot of success. But for right now, yeah, I mean, it's Beck.
Yeah, Beck is QB1. I think that anybody that like thinks that there might be an inkling otherwise has not been paying attention. That said, as far as QB2, where do you sit there?
I was actually on Team Vandegrift after the opener. Which kind of surprised me. I thought I was going to be Gunner. I felt like Gunner was a little erratic, isn't the right word. It felt more chaotic. It felt more frenetic when he was in, to me. But they both moved the ball well, so which is all that really matters. But I felt like I knew more what I was getting when Vandegrift took the snap.
And you felt that way after the last game too?
Well, this last game, I mean, they both hardly played and neither of them did much. I mean, they both got like a series, and then Vandegrift took a knee.
Right.
So I didn't see much this week.
I'm tentatively. I guess that I kind of look at Vandegrift in a similar vein to where I probably looked at Carson Beck previously.
Mm-hmm.
He just doesn't feel like he's going to get it.
Yeah.
But here we are, fast forward a year later, and it's like, Carson Beck clearly has established that and has had that separation.
Yeah.
You kind of hope that one of these guys is going to have some separation at some point too.
Yeah.
Maybe that will be Brock Vandegrift, but I don't know. My instincts are that Gunner Stockton, and it's totally not fair to Brock, but I don't know, that Prince Avenue Christian situation just doesn't sit well with me.
I will say on the last,
like Gunner is better battle tested in Georgia high school football.
Right. No, I hear what you're saying. On the last piece, I will say I fully expect it to be these guys to get a fair shot against Dylan Raiola next year. We have seen Kirby Smart do that in the past. He's not looking at your star rankings. He's looking at who he thinks gives the team the best chance to win. I don't see why that would change now.
Yeah.
All right, UGA Hoops Mafia. With USC Junior not being on the schedule next season, how important is it to y'all that Georgia hangs no less than 50 on Saturday? Got to give them something to remember us by. Also, moving forward, do you think this series will be preserved, or will USC Junior become a rotating opponent? I can kick us off on that second piece, John. I will say it fully depends on what the schedule format is. So if we end up in that 3 permanent, like in the 9 game, the 3-6 rotating model, I do expect South Carolina would be one of our 3 permanent opponents. But if we don't end up with that model, then we won't. So it to me, it wholly depends on the model. But I don't know, man. We may end up just doing what they're doing for next year every year, where they just make the schedule up as they go every year. I don't know. We'll see.
We're just gonna make that shit up as we go along.
I mean, that's what they did. That's what they did for next year.
That's what we've been doing for ever since we got back-to-back away games at Auburn, right?
Yeah, seriously. Don't get me started, John.
I do believe that we hang 50 on South Carolina for what it's worth. That
Ooh,
makes
spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
I do think that we're Kirby. As far as statements go, I feel like he's going to make a statement with this game.
Okay. Aaron King wants to know, what will Shane Beamer be complaining about after this game? Probably that, I don't know, Sanford Stadium was too loud.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know that they have 100 5-star recruits again. I don't know.
Okay, so since he's already complaining about Big Game Boomer on Twitter, maybe he'll complain about 3-year Letterman. Maybe we could have that happen. I'll go with that. Let's see. Micah wants to know biggest concern with the team going into South Carolina. Also, what's your bourbon of the game? I mean, my bourbon of the game is chicken cock. My understanding is it will be present in Athens. I believe Bobby's bringing that. So I'm going to stick to that.
I like it. I am probably going to go. I don't know. I haven't decided if I'm going to go the chicken cock. Truth be told, I'm not a huge fan of the chicken cock. I'll probably stick to early times, ancient age, or old granddad bonded.
Solid choices. Choices.
Yeah. I've been trying to stay with the bottle and bond situation. At least 100 proof. But truth be told, beer has been my prelude to the bourbons later.
Gotcha.
I try not to get hit the bourbons hot and heavy when I'm watching at home.
Nice. Let's see. The next one, I think we've already talked about it. William Bowie wanted to know about wide receiver and perimeter blocking. We talked about that back when we were talking about what to look for when the offense hit the ball. Let's see. JR Real. Do we know if Saban is smiling this week or not?
I don't know. Probably not.
Let's see. Friend of the show, Tim Riley. Will Sanford Stadium seats be all filled in before kickoff? That's all. Was that a Marler reference? I think that was a Marler reference.
Yeah, so it's 80%.
Yeah. I'm going to say yes again. So it was full for UT Martin. I can't comment last week. Sounds like it was pretty full last week. I expect it to be even up yet another notch for the SEC opener. 3:30 kickoff, perfect time of day to start a game. Yes, it will be.
I disagree that it's perfect time, but I do believe that they will be. I do believe that we'll have a capacity stadium pretty early on.
I love the 3:30 kickoff. That's my my favorite time.
I'm like if I could get it at like 6:00.
6 is good. The 7:30 is a little late for me. 6 is a good one. 6 is a good one. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Dwight wanted to know number of sacks by the Dogs defense. And then will South Carolina score over 14? We'll hit that in our predictions. Do you have a sack number? How many sacks are we looking for?
Is that an over-under?
That is not an over-under.
Not an over-under. I'm going to go with 6.
6. Ooh, I like it. Oh yeah, he was sacked 9 times against North Carolina.
Yeah, I don't know that we'll get to him, but yeah.
Okay, I'm going to push on the 6 number. And then Hug Dog says, in a perfect world, the Dogs put the pieces together offensively and blow the brakes off South Carolina. If given an opportunity to run up the score, will Kirby do so? My answer is a hell yeah.
I believe that he probably will try to put a 50 burger on Mr. Beamer.
I think as discussed as our earlier discussion alluded to, there seems to be something going on there, and he did it last year. The Beck to Delp touchdown pass last year really felt like rubbing it in, considering Delp, his recruitment kind of came down to Georgia and South Carolina. That felt like very purposeful. So yeah, I agree.
He's going to open it up with a flea flicker to Delp.
That'd be amazing. I love it. All right.
I also think that, there's been there was a recruit that we lost recently, or quote unquote lost, a big recruit that South Carolina had picked up, and I have a feeling that he's just going to want to embarrass them.
Yep. Agreed. All right, JP, are you ready?
I'm ready.
It is time for Coach Trillbill's over-unders. All right, John, a little inside baseball that I haven't told you yet. last week when I was done, because we're on YouTube now. So if you're listening on the podcast, reminder, you can go actually see us on YouTube. Usually, I think the last one didn't make it, but so I had to change up the whole edit, the way I put it together is a little different now. And I realized like at the last second, I was about to upload it and I had forgot to attach the soundboard audio. So there was video of you and I like with no music, like dancing to the SEC music. It wasn't playing. So I don't know. I feel like I need to send you the clip of it like that without the sound because it was hilarious. When I got it, I was like, oh my gosh.
Is it as good or better than when Vern and Gary were doing the
right
the Superman or what was it?
The Soldier Boy.
Soldier Boy, yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it was that good. But it was hilarious because there was no music playing, and thankfully I fixed it. All right. Okay, so as we discussed, as you made me discuss, because I tried to forget, you came roaring back last week. So while we are tied for the season, you handily won last week. So I believe it's your turn. So you can decide who gets to go or who's going to go first.
It is my turn. All right. I'll go first. I'm gonna hit the offense.
Okay. Over under 5.5 touchdowns for the Georgia offense.
I'm gonna go over.
You're gonna go over. Okay. I went back to my old method after last week. With your storm back, I went back to my old method where I wrote things down ahead of time. All right. So I agree, and I'm not gonna falter, John. I'm not gonna falter. I agree. Over. Okay. My turn. Okay. Touchdowns by tight ends for the Georgia offense. Over under 1.5, and I'm gonna go over.
I'm also gonna go over.
Nice, sticking to your guns. All right, back to you. Offense, total passing yards at 275.
I'm going to go over.
God, now we're just agreeing on everything, but I'm not backing down, John. Over. Okay, my turn. Over, under 2.5 turnovers forced. I'm going to go under.
Ooh, I'm going to go under.
Okay. Over to you. South Carolina rushing yards. Over, under 75.
Under.
Have we disagreed? Have we disagreed somewhere? Okay, my turn. South Carolina passing yards. Over under 225, and I'm going to go over.
I'm going to also go over.
Okay. Your turn. Special teams. Muse punt returns over under 50 yards.
I'm going to go over.
Over. My turn, right? It's my turn now.
It's your turn.
Okay. First half, fire Bobo comments on Twitter. Over under 250.
I have a feeling it's going to be under, but
I was going to, okay. So stick to my guns. I'm saying under.
Nice.
Are you going under as well?
Yeah.
Okay. It's the safe play to match on the miscellaneous, John. Or is it? I don't know. Because I don't know. I can't wait until we get. I can't wait.
Math, there's no separation in this game. I was told there would be no math, but the over-unders have been decided.
Love it. All right. Well, as always, thank you to Coach Chillbill for sending those in and for keeping tally on them as well. So
I have to call out the notes here, which you haven't, the listeners can't read, but coaches referring to this as coaches over/under South CAC.
True. I did botch that. My bad. All right. Let's see. Let's get into predictions, Sean. So this time, shout out to Dog Quant. Thank you, Ross Rutledge. The CBC R2 Sam was released ahead of recording. So CBC R2 Sam has Georgia winning this game 40.9 to 12.5. That is their prediction. Over
what
at
was
odds.
The prediction last week,
I would have had to gone back because it wasn't out at the time of recording, and I did not go back and check after. So apologies. I don't know if if you can go back. I didn't look. Ross, let us know. Let's see. The line looking at Odd Shark is Georgia is favored by 27.5. The over under is 54.5. That would go for an implied score of Georgia 41 to South Carolina 13.5. The Odd Shark predicted score is Georgia 48 to 19.4, which would be a win, a cover, and the over. I've got mine. I don't know if you want me to go first or do you want to go?
I can't remember how we do this, but you won last week, so I'll let you have honors.
Okay. I hit the Georgia offensive number like 2 weeks in a row, didn't I?
Sure.
I know I got it last week. Okay. John, let me give you a fun fact.
Mm.
In South Carolina's season opener against North Carolina, there was a play where South Carolina's defense allowed a rushing touchdown to North Carolina. In this play, it was a goal line situation. South Carolina had 13 men on the field on defense. The refs did not. The referees did not notice this, and with 2 extra men on the field, they were unable to keep North Carolina out of the end zone. Dogs roll 41-14.
Ooh, I like it. I'm gonna go 50-16.
Sticking to your guns with the 50 burger. I like it.
I want a 50 burger at home.
I like it. I like it. Good stuff. Good stuff. I did peruse the schedule, and I caught a couple other games of interest. I didn't see any top 25 matchups that I noticed when perusing the schedule.
I haven't even perused.
I
know
perused.
Isn't I mean the whole the Dion experience is heading to Colorado State, right?
It is, but Colorado State is not ranked. So I'm just saying, like, no matchups where both teams are in the top 25. So yeah, that's Colorado at Colorado State. Or no, it's at Colorado, right?
We keep talking about how we're getting later into the season where the games mean more, and yeah, here we are, no games between top 25.
Yeah, yeah. It is Colorado State at Colorado. I think game day is there too. I don't know. I haven't watched game day yet this season, but anyways, so you got that one. I'm assuming Colorado is probably gonna roll there. I don't really know anything about Colorado State this year, but I don't expect that Dion train to be derailed just yet.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're gonna end up winning that game. Like I said, I don't think they're gonna. It doesn't look like they're gonna get challenged on paper until they head to. Is it at Oregon? Good grief! I don't even know. But yeah, until they play Oregon, really.
Yeah. And the other ones I saw, this one was mainly a shout out to Hunter. You got Georgia Tech,
Florida, and Tennessee. You're playing, right?
Yeah, it's in. John, are you not looking at the thing? I think
Yes.
this is in the notes.
Yes.
Yeah, you got Tennessee at Florida, but how about that, right? Not a top 25 matchup on that note. So I don't know. It's so weird. I mean, I guess so. What it is Tennessee is at Florida. I don't think Tennessee has won at Florida in quite some time though. So I think it would be big for them to win there, but they should roll, I would assume. I don't know. After, since Florida like sends multiple guys with the same jersey number out in the field at the same time.
I'm interested to see where this game nets out, because both those teams are statistically doing pretty decently from a offense defense situation. So statistically is doing a lot of heavy lifting there for those two teams, but
right,
particularly for Florida, but or excuse me, Florida.
Yes, so right now there's currently 1 L in Florida. Will there be 2 after this weekend, John?
There's permanently 6.
Okay, fair enough.
And they got recruits. They got guys hitting the portal. It's like, dude, the season's not even over. Like, what's going on?
Yeah, I know. It is weird.
Something in the water out there. Washington's playing Michigan State. Washington, I hear, is doing really well. Obviously, we got the Mel Tucker situation out there. That'll be interesting to see what happens there, if they can.
Yeah,
what they're able to produce without him on the sidelines.
Again, John, Washington, team to watch, who is not coached by Chris Peterson. Washington Huskies.
Who's not? Yeah, exactly. Not coached by Chris Peterson.
Full disclosure, I don't even know who their coach is. I just like to point that out, that he's not there. And now I'm gonna while you talk, I'm gonna Google.
I'm just looking up and down the schedule here to see, like, is there literally any good games?
Well, the one I was trying to get to was Georgia Tech at Ole Miss. I'm not saying that it's a great game, but you got Georgia Tech going out to play, the Fighting Hunters. So
the Fighting Hunters. That's great.
Kalen DeBoer is the head coach of the Washington Huskies. Never
heard of her.
Yeah, I don't know him either. Not familiar. But yeah, so I'd love to see the Lane train and Ole Miss run it up on Tech. I do know Don Blaylock got his first touchdown as a Yellow Jacket, which is, I almost threw up saying that, but last week Don Blaylock got a touchdown. So for what that's worth, but I got Ole Miss.
I would also take Ole Miss in that game. How about like could be potentially interesting for matchup Arkansas or BYU at Arkansas.
Culture clash.
Culture clash, and it's at 7:30 at night.
And it's BYU at Arkansas.
BYU at Arkansas. Yes.
Oh, they're going to be so confused. Nice.
There's going to be one side of the stadium that's sober and another side of the stadium that's not.
Yeah. What time is that one at?
7:30 on on the Deuce.
Okay. So yeah, so I'll be able to watch that one, or at least catch the end of it after. Man, the Colorado State at Colorado game is a 10 p.m. Eastern kickoff.
Ooh, I definitely won't be seeing that one.
Yeah, I won't be seeing the end of that one either. I don't know. I may have to get some multi-viewing up with the Georgia Tech Ole Miss is at 7:30.
So wait.
Right? That's crazy.
That's like reserved for games that are against like Hawaii and USC type stuff. Like
yeah. Or the other games in that time slot are Fresno State, Arizona State. Like that makes sense. Kansas at Nevada and UTEP at Arizona. Like those are the 10 o'clock games.
I feel like if Coach Prime wasn't at Colorado and they weren't doing what they were doing, that would for sure be like a 3:30. It would be like a daytime kickoff.
Yeah.
The conspiracy theory on me is that they want everybody's eyeballs on that game because by that time, any eyeballs that are awake will be.
Oh yeah. My eyeballs probably won't be awake though, so at least not by the end of the game. I'll maybe make it to halftime at best.
Right.
All right. I think we already talked about plans. So yeah, I'll be in Athens, heading down, going to the game with the fam. With my extended family. Rest of the fam's hanging back here. Actually, I know Lily. So you guys had homecoming last weekend. We haven't had homecoming yet because we started a little bit later. But I know Lily wants to go homecoming dress shopping this weekend. So Kim's so first one for Lily. So that's going to be going on here while I'm away.
Good times.
Yeah.
What are you going to be bringing Guthrie's?
Oh man. I need to do some research to see if that's open yet because I don't even know. I don't know if the
you're bringing some fried chicken to the game. Is that the move? Like what's the tailgate menu?
Yeah. Well, I believe I think Greg's handling the menu.
oh, you are going to go for the game. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to the game. Well,
I mean, like you are going to go for the tailgate fare.
Yeah, I think so. I got to double check.
Because last time you quote unquote went to the tailgate.
I stopped by. Last time, yes. No, that's fair. So this one though, I'm going to head down on Friday, so I'll be there, so I can get up and head it over. I don't know that I'll be like super early, like when you and I, got up and really early and went over to see Logan. I don't know that I'll get over quite that early. But
what I hear you saying is that you need me to come into town to kick you into gear to get out there early.
Tough, but fair.
Because you can't drink all day if you don't start when you wake up.
This is a true statement. So are you up in the air? You said you're checking the market.
If I can find some more decent tickets, like my typical Bellwater is about $50 for these games, but regardless of who we're playing, that's just kind of been like a hard and fast rule that I've had ever since I was in college. $200, $150 for South Carolina is a stretch.
You really hate these guys though, John.
I do, but I don't. I can buy a lot of early times with $150.
Fair enough. All right. Well, SEC opener. Looking forward to it. Maybe I'll see you there. Maybe I won't. If I do, it'll be a good time. If I don't, I know we'll be texting all throughout. I know you're hopeful. I like it. You're hopeful. If I don't see you though, I know we'll be texting all throughout.
Absolutely.
All right, man. Another fun one. SEC opener. This is one we've been waiting for to get into the higher level of competition. I don't know, man. Let's get after it and ready to see the dogs in Sanford again.
Heck yeah, man. Let's kick off the SEC schedule, right? Like I said, enjoy the CBS kickoffs. If for those of you viewing at home, I'm kind of like, if I were to go to the game, I feel like I would miss out on that aspect of it, because unlike most people, I enjoyed the SCBS broadcast with Gary and Vern. So
not Vern, but Brad. It's okay.
Oh, sorry, Brad. Sorry. Well, yeah.
You did enjoy Vern.
You know what I meant.
I know. I just don't want people yelling at their podcast player right at the end.
They probably will. Not even into the barrel proof yet. Anyway, if you don't go enjoy the broadcast, because like I said, there's college football is changing before our eyes, and that's one of the traditions that we may miss out on.
Yep, for sure.
Go Dogs.
Go Dogs.